say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Hello and welcome to the Class of 2020 graduation ceremony. Although we were unable to meet face-to-face for this momentous occasion, I want to commend you for your hard work and once again congratulate you, Class of 2020. It wasn't an easy road to this day. The last 12 and in reality 18 years of our lives have been filled with more bumps than a single generation should have to deal with. I recently read a New York Times article titled, "What's Next for the Class of 2020?" The article detailed the many tragic events that have lined our lifetimes and ended with a call to action that we as a class are meant to answer. I ask all of you, what is next for the Class of 2020? The last months have been filled with incalculable loss. Whether their breath was taken by an uncontrolled disease or crushed by the knee of a racist, oppressive system. What is next for us? Well, I'd like to tell you what I think it can be. As you know, and I've heard countless times, our class has seen many, many tragic events. I was born on September 12th, 2001, the day after 9/11. And many of you were born before or slightly after me. So from the moment you were born, we have never known peace. From that moment stemmed recessions, storms, endless wars, contested elections, fatal shootings in schools and in the streets, but also somehow hope. Despite our tragic history, our generation has more power and more drive than any before us. Because of our affinity for technology and our more collectivist mindset, we've already been able to accomplish massive feats together. We've single-handedly elected members of Congress, sold out a Trump rally just to leave it empty, organized and started massive protests that received nationwide attention in our state alone. We have the power to give fame to someone and to elevate their platform and completely take it away if we need to. We've signed countless petitions to bring justice for Black Americans and to solve crises half the world away. Do you realize the power that's in our hands? So when I ask what's next, it can be whatever we want. Never before has a generation of activists been so motivated towards the common good and collected behind no one but each other. We are being challenged as a generation, and I know that we can rise to it. I also firmly believe that Kent-Meridian itself has given us the tools we need to save the world. When I first came to KM in 2016, it was not what I expected. I was told to others many things I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times, that this is the ghetto school. But when I walked in, I saw something I don't normally see in other high schools. And it's more than just diversity. It's openness. Not being judgmental at others' life choices. Because of our diversity, you could be the most unique, random person in the world, and I'm sure you'll find someone just like you at KM. Instead of being a school with a lot of spirit or a homogenous culture, we're one where you don't have to be fake to fit in, where you can be you. Have you ever noticed that about KM? Whoever you are, you're welcome. And that is the exact mindset we need to win these political and social battles ahead of us. While the world tells us to fit in or to follow the status quo, we tell the world to be different, to be yourself. When we're supposed to divide ourselves by race or class, we can proudly say that despite being diverse, we are all royals, one in the same. Racism can only be solved not with complacency, but with love, with anti-racism. Class inequality cannot be solved with merely focusing on yourself, but with paying it back and paving it forward. KM taught us how to do this excellently. And I ask you one more time, what is next for the class of 2020? Well, let me tell you, this country in a lot of ways is broken, and it's truly ours to fix. The class of 2020 finds themselves in the unique position of getting into the world just as it needs us. And as KM graduates, we are equipped with just the tools to save it. I know what's next for us. It's not for places like KM to become more like the rest of America. It's for America to become a whole lot more like KM. Thank you.
It's crazy how much we changed over these past 4 years. Thinking back to freshman year, graduation felt so far away. I remember thinking that the seniors back then were so much more mature than us, more accomplished than us. I, for one, couldn't imagine myself in their place. But alas, here we are. We made it, though not without a few hitches in the road. I don't know about you, but I didn't envision my senior year panning out this way. If testing and college applications weren't enough stress, we were hit with a pandemic. Yet, despite that, we still made it. We have worked hard with our fair share of ups and downs, but we always bounce back. I can remember numerous times when I was completely unmotivated to do anything. Actually, I've been feeling this these past few months. I felt the hard work we did, all the hard work that we've gone through had really gone to nothing. The late night studying, the hours of work put into things I probably will never use again. I'm talking to you, calculus. Surmounted to just disappointment. Disappointment that we couldn't have a regular commencement. Disappointment that prom was canceled, that all our testing was canceled. Okay, maybe not that part, but you get what I mean. It felt like our accomplishments wouldn't be heard or celebrated. Along with that, over these past few months, I really only felt stress. Stress from not knowing what was going to happen, for being stuck at home 24/7. I felt myself needing a break from it all. So that's what I did. Binge watched a bunch of TV shows, spent hours on YouTube, the usual things to clear your mind. At the beginning of quarantine, I completed every single one of my assignments, attended every class, granted in my pajamas. In other words, I was really motivated to end the year right. I intended to finish every single assignment. However, as you probably guessed, that didn't happen. Ms. Drake would know, courtesy of my incomplete essay. In fact, the week before the essay was due, I had a complete breakdown. My family could attest. At that point, I'd still wanted to complete all my assignments, but couldn't find any motivation to do that. Instead, I was just stressed. The pattern continued for a while, and I think it's safe to say I just hit a wall. Looking back at it, my mind definitely blew everything out of proportion, for there's many other problems that other people face that are much harder. However, at that time, that's the only thing that consumed me. As I said before, I just needed a break from it all. And a time when I could do nothing, stress-free, taking some time for myself. And I think that's really important. Before taking that break, I felt so responsible to not let anyone down. I felt that if I didn't live up to other people's standards or my perceived standards, that I wouldn't be presenting my best self. That mindset was really toxic. Now I understand that it's okay to take a break if you need one. Your friends and family, they understand. Yes, being there for others is important, but you are also important. And your way of taking a break may be different than mine. For me, I locked myself in my room, didn't really have human contact, just binge watched a bunch of videos. For you, it might be going out with your friends, hanging out with other people, having a conversation. Know when to take that break, because through all our hard work, all our hardships, we inevitably hit that wall where we need it. On a similar note, I also absolutely hate opening up my feelings to anyone, not even my family. Through this period of time, this break from school, I also learned the importance of sharing my thoughts. That in fact, that makes you strong. Because every person has a breaking point, and if we just keep everything inside, bottled up, we're eventually gonna hit that. And I can tell you that state of mind is not fun. So take that time to talk to your friends, your family, whether you just want someone to listen or to have a conversation. They will be there for you, just like they were there throughout your high school career. We have worked so hard to get to this point, and I know we are going to keep working hard, whether you're going to further education or straight into the workforce. But while we're trekking on, just remember to take care of yourself. Take those essential breaks, lean on your family, because you're not alone, and we'll be there when you need us. And eventually, though it may feel like the world is ending, that you'll never get out of this phase, life will get better. This constant state of stress or the impending unknown that's all you down will not last forever, because life isn't stagnant. And we know this through our experiences through high school. So know yourself. Take that break when you need it. Know when to move on. Just take care of yourself. And again, congratulations to the KM class of 2020. Wherever you're headed, I know you're gonna thrive.
The Board of Directors of the Kent School District is recognizing a school board scholar from the graduating students. The scholarship is based on scholastic qualifications, financial need, school involvement, interviews, as well as a written essay demonstrating how a college education will benefit this student and society. This year's recipient of a scholarship from the Harry B. and Ruby T. Soames Educational Trust Foundation is William Doherty. Congratulations, Will. This year, the class of 2020 has 4 valedictorians. Each of our valedictorians has earned an impressive overall GPA of 4.0. But what really sets our valedictorians apart is their demonstrated excellence through academics, athletics, activities, and student leadership. All of our valedictorians are IB diploma recipients, taking an impressive 11 IB classes over 2 years, completing 150 hours of CAS, creativity, action, and service, and an independent research project culminating in a 4,000-word extended essay. I respect and admire all of our valedictorians, and it is my pleasure to recognize Jordan Cahoon, William Doherty, Daniel Drake, and Jada So. Congratulations, Jordan, Will, Daniel, and Jada, on your high achievement. KM is very proud of you.
Welcome, class of 2020. The class with some of the most unique graduation circumstances in history. Welcome the parents and adults who mentored and supported us throughout these 4 pivotal years. Welcome the teachers and the staff members who watch us grow throughout our high school career. And last, but certainly not least, welcome my fellow valedictorians, Daniel Drake, William Doherty, and Jada So, of whom I'm so thankful to have gone to know. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge these current events. We're living in a time of change, a time of growth. While many of you are going through the most trying moments of your lives, I want to thank you for taking the time to listening to what I have to say. To be honest with you, I struggled with finding the words to capture my thoughts. How can I address my peers who have gone through more hardships than many of the adults I know? We, the class of 2020, are a class of compassion and ambition. As cliche as it sounds, the events from the 2008 recession all the way to the global pandemic have made us strong. We are unafraid to speak our opinions and stand up for ourselves. Yet despite our strength, we live in a world where every single person we meet judges us on our gender, our sexuality, our political beliefs, our appearances, and even our race. And in many ways, our mission as a class is to break down those old paradigms, to make the voices of the unheard so loud that everyone is forced to listen. From our tweets to our posts, we call out when others infringe and disrespect the traits that make people diverse and unique. It's what forms the foundation of cancel culture, something inexplicably related to our class and to our generation. For those of you who don't know, cancel culture has established itself in social media, giving the people to call out a prominent influencer or even a regular person for their past and current offensive actions. The whole internet bands together to bring justice and form judgment, preventing any future offenses. Collectively, our actions hold the world accountable for what is morally right. We are inclusive. Everyone has the power to participate in the ongoing social movements, from Black Lives Matter to Me Too to the LGBTQA+ community. We are redefining what it means to be a person living in the modern world. But at what price? Some people feel self-righteous, proud even, to call out the wrongdoings of others. Trust me, I feel a little of that too, because it feels so right to be justified and to be listened to. However, most have pent up all this rage at others, or maybe at a specific group of people, or even at the world. I know I have. Being outspoken and honest is a double-edged sword. Our restless emotions fuel our ambition and make it so that we don't settle for just good enough. But I am worried because we're also a class with anger, with a chip on our shoulders, out to prove the world that we love so much that we can change it. I'm not worried for the world, but for us. We are not infallible, and people can only hold on to so many grudges and so much toxic energy before open-ended possibilities are inevitably sealed off. It is a necessary burden we carry throughout our daily lives, permeating our relationships and affecting our self-view. But who am I to comment on anyone's individual self-truth? Many of you in the audience may disagree with my statements, thinking that I have barely scratched the surface of our class and cancel culture itself. Trust me, a 5-minute speech is much too short, but I digress. Throughout high school, I too have been called out for and canceled for my opinions and my person. And in some cases, I believe it was necessary. But because I've experienced the latter end, I beg you, people make mistakes. Holding on to the wrongdoings of others can be self-harmful and in some ways counterintuitive. We need people like you who can stand up when others are afraid to speak out when no one else is saying a word, and to listen whenever everyone else isn't listening. But when people start to pay attention and to apologize for their actions, when they start to change, I ask you to forgive, don't forget the past. Do it not for them, but for yourselves. We are a class of idealists, and we want to make the world a better place. So let's do ourselves a favor. And when that time comes, we can coexist peacefully with others, extending equally from our real lives to our virtual lives. But for now, may we hold on to that anchor, as I will not pretend that the world is perfect without injustices. I truly believe, and I hope you do too, that we are going to be the generation that figures it out. We may have our quirks, and we may not get it right away, but eventually, I have faith. No, I know we will see each other eye to eye, without regard to the way they look nor what they believe. So as we take our first few anticlimactic steps into adulthood, I just asked our class to be kind to not only the many kinds of people living in the world, but to be kind, most importantly, to ourselves. After all that we have been through, and after all that we'll go through, we deserve it. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and congrats to the class of 2020.
Congratulations, Kent School District seniors, class of 2020. I am proud of each and every one of you. I was so looking forward to shaking your hands as you come down those steps at the Showware Center. Your graduation, the culmination of your public education experience, is important. It's important to you, to your family, and it is certainly something we value and we celebrate in Kent School District. And yet, it is what comes next that I'm even more excited for. Today, on your high school graduation day, know that I celebrate you and your academic achievement, your attendance, and your contributions to your school and your community. And just as importantly, I also want to say that I see you, I hear you, and I celebrate you for your resilience. I see you, I hear you, and I celebrate your resourcefulness. I see you, I hear you, and I celebrate how you embrace our racial and ethnic differences in a way that generations before you never have. I see you, and I hear you, and I celebrate you for being hungry to learn and grow, to define your own path, and to tell your own story. I'm inspired by your bravery, your heart, and you, the class of 2020, you give me hope for a brighter tomorrow. Congratulations, Kent School District, class of 2020. I cannot wait to see what you do with the future that lies before you. And as always, remember to stay healthy, stay safe, stay curious, and stay passionate.
Today, my heart is full. I'm also thankful. I'm thankful to all of the parents and families who allowed us to partner with you to raise these fine graduates. It has been a pleasure to watch great KM kids doing great things. Thank you to all the faculty and staff for the guidance, mentorship, and positive influence in shaping this class of students. It is a pleasure to work with such a passionate and committed group of educators. Thank you to our community partners, our PTSA, the College Success Foundation, University of Washington Upward Bound, the Community Network Council, Communities in Schools, Coalition of Refugees from Burma, and Treehouse for coming alongside us to grow the next generation of graduates. Most of all, I'm thankful for the 400 students in our class of 2020. Only time will tell if this historic day, where we altered our graduation ceremony, will become our new normal for classes in the future. While it is easy to focus on what has been lost, I choose to look for moments of joy. There's no way for me to quantify what has been lost, and it would probably be beside the point, for what has been lost is an innocence. Many of us have realized that the relative health and safety we felt in this world was an illusion, and we are required to fight this head-on and not ignore it. Nobody asked for this, nobody signed up for this, but it found its way to our doorstep, and I'm proud of our KM students and community for the way we stick together and carry on. Our staff members genuinely worry about our students when we cannot connect with them, and we value the time and relationships we develop when we are together. We are stronger together, but there's also strength and resiliency that our students possess that nobody should underestimate. At a time when so many have a crushing fear of the unknown and its accompanying anxiety, many of us have been struggling through shock and fear, anger, and grief. What I know about our students is this: you never let anybody or anything stop you before, so why would you start now? To our senior class specifically, I offer my sincere appreciation and gratitude for how you excelled and added to the positive image of Kent-Meridian High School. You made major contributions through academics, athletics, performing arts, and community involvement. Our community, nation, and world need you to continue learning, contributing, and leading. While there may be considerable disappointment and heartbreak for the loss of anticipated senior experiences, don't get stuck. Keep moving forward. Remember your purpose. I will always remember your class for your courage and compassion for others. Keep learning and engaging in the necessary and sometimes difficult conversations we need to have about the health of our community and our country. We need you to talk about race. We need you to talk about gender. We need you to talk about the environment. We need you to talk about technology use. We need you to talk about civility and tone and what is acceptable in dealing with confrontation. The promises and hope of freedom, justice, and prosperity should not be predetermined by your race, your gender, or your zip code. And no matter what anyone tells you, you have a right and a responsibility to continue learning, understanding, and being a part of the conversations that will shape the direction of our community and nation. Lastly, I want to remind you that we can all embody the spirit of a KM Royal, whether we are in school or out. Being royal doesn't have to happen inside our building only or when school is in session. You can be royal anywhere and everywhere. I cannot tell you how many times I am stopped by a member of the community and told a wonderful story, positive and uplifting news about how one of our KM students has made our city a more wonderful place to live and work. Thank you to all of our KM Royals for being true to yourself and honoring your family, culture, heritage, and school. And as so many of us have started saying, stay healthy, stay safe, and wash your hands. Class of 2020, I very much look forward to what all of you are going to take on. Don't be a stranger. As part of the royal family, you will always be welcome at our community events, and we would love to see you back at KM as a volunteer, a mentor, a coach, or a staff member. To our Kent School Board directors and Dr. Watts, it is with great pride and joy that I present to you the class of 2020. Thank you.
On behalf of the Kent School Board, it is my honor to accept the Kent-Meridian class of 2020. Congratulations.
bopping class of 2020. Before I begin, I'd like to thank those who have made this journey possible for our class, including this one-of-a-kind graduation. Thank you to Dr. Watts and the KSD Board of Directors, Mr. Radford and KM Admin, the teachers, staff, coaches, club advisors, and many, many more that make Kent-Meridian such a great place. Most importantly though, to our families and friends, thank you for keeping us warm and safe, caring for us, teaching us, laughing with us, even crying with us, and just being our rocks now and for the rest of our lives. We love you. During my 4 years here at KM, I had a wealth of unforgettable experiences. Running around the main gym in a pink dress for a pep assembly, burning up under the blazing sun during track meets, and rushing to finish those English essays before the midnight deadline are some good and bad examples that come to mind. However, when I was thinking of what I could share with you, the Kent-Meridian class of 2020, that would be empowering and useful for all of our exciting futures, one story came to mind. The first half of my cross-country season during my sophomore year was pretty rough. I struggled to come close to any of the times I had achieved during my freshman year. Meet after meet, I would just slog around those courses and hit abysmal times. As the season was coming to a close and the final meets were just around the corner, my determination to beat my freshman personal record was waning. Maybe this is just the renowned sophomore slump. I could just wait until junior year. Well, one Friday night after finishing one of my infamous 10 minutes before the midnight deadline English essays, I completely forgot to set an alarm for the next morning before I fell asleep. Normally, this is okay, but I failed to remember that I had a cross-country meet that next morning. You can imagine what it's like to wake up to calls from your teammates, frantically asking if you're awake. Needless to say, it was enough to get me groggily clambering out of bed and just going around the house as fast as possible to try and catch the next Metro bus to KM. My efforts were in vain, however. I watched the only bus that would have gotten me to KM on time zip by. Going back to bed was sounding like a pretty good option. So, I just did what any normal person would do. Sprinted as fast as I could to KM. 3 miles of huffing and puffing on a brisk Saturday morning. Much to my dismay, I was able to arrive just before the team left, which meant I now had to huff and puff even harder during my race. On the way to the meet, I was convincing myself that I would earn a new personal record for the slowest time. I had no confidence that I could succeed in conditions like these. At the sound of the starting gun, I just knew I was going to run terribly. Climbing up those hills, skidding around sharp turns, and just weaving all about the course. There was no way I was going to beat my freshman season record. But then I did. 20 minutes and 5 seconds to 19 minutes and 50 seconds. I think that this story is a great testament to the importance of being determined and doing hard work. What I believe is most valuable, however, is how it places emphasis on how easy it is for us to convince ourselves that we are less than what we actually are. That we aren't capable of doing things that we're completely capable of doing. Running 3 miles before a race obviously didn't control how capable I was of improving. People often say that the greatest obstacle to our success is, well, ourselves. And I think that's so true. As we go into the world and pursue big things, whatever that may look like, we all have potential to achieve what we believe our calling is. Let's just not get in the way of ourselves. Class of 2020. These last few months have been completely unexpected and, frankly, pretty challenging. However, 2 things have become super clear. 1, the potential our class has, and 2, the strength of our bond. Everyone here has accomplished so much, balancing academics, clubs, sports, jobs, family hardships, and just so much more. And it is without a doubt that these experiences have given our class the means to succeed. Let's get this bread, homies. On top of that, the connection we have developed as a class is greater than any other. There is a stronger sense of togetherness, an understanding that we are here for each other, and that we will have each other's backs as we continue through the rest of our lives. There is no better word to describe this than family, a royal family. I am incredibly blessed to be a part of the class of 2020 and thankful to you all for allowing me to serve as your senior class president. And now is the moment you've all been waiting for. Kent-Meridian class of 2020, it's time to graduate. Please rise and move your tassel from right to left to signify that you have graduated. Congrats, class of 2020. We made it.